Hey, welcome into the Thursday edition of the Husker247 Daily. I'm Michael Bruns. Brian Christopherson's over there. Still talking UCLA. Just a few days out from this one. We're talking wild cards today.
Hmm.
We were kind of digging through the old barrel of topics and came up with wild cards for this matchup. Feels like there's a few. Matt Rule's challenged his players, his staff, probably the water boy. The nutrition people. Everybody's got to do just a little bit more this week. Who do you who do you kind of feel like? Let's start on offense. Who needs to step up this week with a freshman quarterback and kind of pull the rope a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the O-line, but I think Ja'Cory Barney is a name that's been thrown around a lot this week, partly because he only has 10 catches for 36 yards in the last 4 games after a really explosive start, but also because Ja'Cory is one of those guys we know in this offense you can get the ball on like some of those tunnel screens, some of that stuff that's pretty easy in the short intermediate game for a quarterback and do something with it. So obviously Isaiah Hunter has shown that ability too, but it does feel like we're due, Bruns, for a game where you hit Barney on like some inside screen and he slips through it and he's off for a while. So he's one that comes to my mind on offense. Do you have another?
Would you go along with Justin Evans?
Sure.
And
I
the
go
reason
along.
I
I go
say
along with things pretty easily, and yeah, that works.
I just really had to twist the heck out of your arm there. No, I think when you kind of look at the totality of the offense right now, you've got a freshman quarterback making his first start. One thing that we'd heard all season was that Dylan Raiola had such a great command of the pre-snap stuff, the checking into good looks, getting protections where they needed to be. And this is a game where you're going to have a true freshman quarterback kind of doing that in mass for the first time. You've got two tackles who are, who knows where they're going to end up. We don't know what Elijah Pritchett's situation is at that left tackle spot. You've got Tyler Knack, Turner Corcoran, both kind of beat up. Two guys that really haven't played much at all in their careers as your potential next men up after that. So I think it's going to have to be a big game for Justin Evans in the middle of that line, really directing traffic and kind of getting everybody where they need to be. I think he's going to have a really big role in this one. And not only that, but I mean, let's just kind of talk about Nebraska's running game too. I'm expecting more quarterback run, obviously, with Lateef. You're probably going to get a heavier dose of Emmett Johnson, even more so than you have in the last few games. And a lot of what Nebraska, I think, has kind of been able to do in terms of running the ball has come between the tackles. And that's kind of where the strength of that line is right now. And he's right in the middle of that. So I think he's going to have a great game, and he's had a good season, but this is where you need those veterans to really kind of step up and help you. What about on defense? Give me somebody on defense.
Yeah, I'll probably stealing it because you mentioned him in another conversation, but Shavers is got to be big. I mean, he's an eraser type on the defense, and obviously when you're dealing with someone like Nico at quarterback for UCLA, you have to respect that he can scramble and that basically his evacuation plans from the pocket are not easy to dissect. That's something like Phil Simpson said the other night on the radio, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, he's not a quarterback where you can just pin him down to like, this is how he escapes. Like, this is his direct route. He takes different ways to get out of problems. And so you always have to keep that in mind as a defense. And Shavers, I think, plays he's a really good player for this team, but he's still growing every week. And this would be an opportunity for him to, like, you'd love it if he had like sort of one of those halves like he had at the Pinstripe Bowl, where it just felt like he was everywhere and shutting things off. So he's a player who that whole second level needs to be big, but obviously we'll highlight him.
You're telling me that Nico doesn't have the patented Tommy Armstrong spin move? That's not in his arsenal.
That's like an inside joke that we have that like only we appreciate. What was it, Langsdorff or
Yeah,
who? Yeah,
Danny Langsdorff. Yeah,
yeah. He said a patented Tommy spin move, and there was a little bit of that
yeah.
quotes to it. But yeah, I think Nico apparently has a little more in his bag to get away from stuff. That's what we're hearing.
Could I also, since I'm in the business of selling you things today, could I also sell you that this is a huge game for Nebraska's linebacker group?
Yeah, I'm sold.
You're,
There you go. I'll buy
I
it.
mean, because I mean, yeah, okay. Well, again,
I'm like
twisting
Kramer, just like you don't got to give me much. Just put me up on
yeah,
the billboard with the Marlboro thing, and I'll take it.
you want the free cappuccinos. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned Shavers and kind of his importance in all of this. I think when you kind of go to other guys in that group, Watson Trent has kind of seen his snap count increase as we've gone along this year, in part because Dawson Merritt's been a little bit limited. He's another guy that, when the injury report comes out and we start, sending out the travel roster and who's made the trip, he's a guy that you probably need to circle a little bit just to see where he's at with his health. And also, I mean, let's at least acknowledge the season that Javen Wright's having right now. I mean, he is having a really good year. I believe double-digit tackles in 5 of his last 6 games, while kind of battling some, I think it's shoulder or something. He's always got like the huge kind of wrap going on. But that group, I think, is going to be really key in terms of being there to kind of fix the leaky yardage and make sure that you don't get the 7-yard gain on 3rd and 4 off of a quarterback scramble and things like that. So I think it's going to be really important for those guys to play well, to move laterally, and also to tackle well when they have the chance. I mean, I think that's a really big key for Nebraska in this one.
Yeah, John Butler said Javen Wright played a great game against USC. He pointed to a play he made that was within the rules, just a good physical play where he actually knocked out a USC lineman through how physical he was. And so that's a good call on him. We talk sometimes about who on this roster is like an NFL player. Obviously it depends if Javen's body can hold up with all he's been through, but you talk about guys who walk past you and you're like, okay, that's a dude. Javen Wright has always been that. And he's playing like that right now.
So right now he didn't play against Houston Christian. 10 tackles against Michigan, 10 against Michigan State, 12 against Maryland, 12 against Minnesota. I believe he left the Northwestern game. That he missed part of that game, I think. Only 1 tackle there. Had 11 last week against USC. I think in some ways he maybe gets pigeonholed a little bit as kind of a gadget type linebacker, just because he's the level of athleticism, the fact that he used to be a defensive back, but he's playing really, really good and tackling really well right now.
Yeah, the Northwestern game, that was the one where he played only 22, been dinged up. But remember, he was in on the last rush, where he brought the heat and caused some problems. So he's made his impact even when he's been limited.
Is there? We haven't really talked about it much. What is Nebraska's special teams role in this game, do you think? Because we're getting into that kind of portion of the schedule where UCLA has very solid special teams group, good field goal kicker. Iowa, of course, has death taxes and Iowa special teams. I mean, Nebraska's been very good this year in special teams, but this is a time when you kind of need that big play that you got against Michigan State or you got against Maryland.
Yeah, just by the numbers, UCLA is actually 5th nationally in kick return coverage at only like 13.9 per return. Nebraska's first in the Big Ten, 3rd nationally. So that's one of those something's got to give categories. Mike Eckler's not going to back down from having his guys take it out and trying to bust one. But that's difficult. They have a kicker also, UCLA, who's 14 of 17 with a long of 54. So if it comes down to a big kick on their end, don't hold your breath. The kid's necessarily going to miss it for the other side. So we talked about this in another space, but I'm just so glad, Bruns, that it's a changed conversation from the past years where it's like, okay, there's a team that actually is even on Nebraska's terms and special teams now. And it's like, oh, they can actually play with Nebraska in this phase. In the past, we've always been like, can Nebraska play with them on special teams and rise up? So this is a good problem to have, that we're actually talking about a game where, yeah, they're good on special teams, but they're meeting Nebraska like in the middle of the ring on that. So I still don't doubt that Eckler is such a schemer, and like stuff he can find, that they're going to have something, whether it's a block punt or some idea with their return scheme, that they're going to think they can pop something. So he's looked through all that tape, like the Zapruder film, and he's like, let's see where we can find an avenue here.
You gotta figure out who they've been focused on in the facility over there all week. Like who's going to block the punt, who's going to get the big return, because it seems like every time it happens, they've been talking about it for 5 or 6 days in the hallways when they pass guys over there. So we'll see if Nebraska can do that. We'll hear from Matt Rule for the final time later this morning as they continue the preparations for UCLA. Keep it locked on Husker 24/7 for all the latest.